Wow. Oh my goodness. We have reached the final beta, people. Day 31. Your boy Viper has been live streaming for the last 31 days in a row, and tonight is the finale. And given what I'm about to talk about tonight, the video that Marquez, Brownlee, MKBHD, and Aaron from Mr. Who's the Ball put out this morning, that is the perfect way to end this whole live streaming regalia here. And I had to get my man Renee Ritchie, because Renee has unique insight, given that he worked on both sides of the ledger here. So, Renee, good evening, man. How you been?
Best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. The excellence of Viper execution. Congrats, man. 31 days. Amazing.
Woo! Appreciate you, man. We got the greatest Apple journaling content creator alive out here doing his thing. So let's not waste any time, because we only got Renee for an hour tonight, so let's get to it. So, unfortunately, I can't play you guys the video due to copyright reasons. Aaron has music in there, and this channel is not authorized for music playback, so I'm not about to be dealing with all that. But what I did was I went ahead and I took a note of the 5 points that him and Marquez made throughout the video. So what I'll do is I'll just go through the 5 points. Me and Renee will go point by point here. So the video is titled "How the Tech Companies Manipulate the Media," and we've seen a lot of it. Me and Renee both have seen it. Like, Renee probably seen it more than I have, because he's been in the industry longer, but I've seen it in my short time as being a creator as well. But point number one, they were talking about pre-launch giveaways. Now, I didn't even really think about this in the way that they presented it in the video, but it makes perfect sense, right? So you have an unreleased product. It could be good, it could be bad. But if you work with that reviewer or that content creator to do a pre-launch giveaway, like Aaron was saying in the video, how the hell can you in one breath talk bad about the product, but in the next sentence be like, well, I'm going to give it away to you? You know, Renee, have you ever encountered this whole pre-launch giveaway in your time in the space?
Yeah, so one of the things that's unique about this video is that both Aaron and Marquez are YouTubers, which means that they are the primary, like they have teams, of course, but they're really one-person media shops. And it's a difference between how things are done now and how things are like more traditionally done, because this would happen all the time. But in like a normal media organization or a traditional media organization, those would be separate teams. Like, there would be a team of people who are negotiating a giveaway, right, and there'd be a review team, and the review team would not know anything about the giveaway, and the giveaway would know a review's happening, but they wouldn't have any like involvement, no ability to change the review. And then the giveaway might not even appear with because they publish so much. Like, the giveaway might be its own thing, like it get its own post, get its own video, get its own, a completely separate entity that the sales team or like the community engagement team is working on. So it's not a conflict, but it becomes a conflict because, like Aaron and Marquez and you and me, we have to run our own business. And then like Business Renee and Business Viper are fighting with Editorial Renee and Editorial Viper and saying, like, how do we firewall ourselves?
Yeah, it's so weird, again, because when you think about giveaways, you don't really think about them in the way that they could literally impact what you say about the product. But I mean, it becomes a conflict of interest, literally, because, again, like Renee was alluding to, Editorial Viper and Business Viper are the same individual. So me and Renee, we have to figure out how to present the content in an objective and formal way. But then you got this whole giveaway thing on the side here that we have to be like, all right, we can't bash it too badly if we're going to give it away. I mean, that makes no sense. You can't really do that. I mean, it doesn't work. But it's sneaky. Again, the video was titled "How Tech Companies Manipulate the Media," and that is a very underhanded, sneaky way to manipulate what a creator says about your product if you're going to offer to do a giveaway. And the thing is,
I mean, like it's also like traditionally too, like older media outlets, they're in a position to manipulate right back, where a YouTuber necessarily isn't. Like, they'll say, we don't really like your product and we're not going to do a giveaway, but if you pay us, we'll do a giveaway. Like it's not even that you're like, oh, it's nice of you to do this for our community. It's like, no, if you give us that dollar, then we'll let you do that. We'll sell you access to our community.
Yeah, there's all types of things going on that we might not be accustomed to as far as how creators deal with their business. And that's the other wild card in this whole situation. We all handle our businesses differently. There's no set standard for how creators handle working with different brands and tech companies and things like that. So what one creator might agree to, another creator might not agree to. What one creator might charge or may not charge, another creator may not charge it. It's like the Wild Wild West out here. So these brands could literally, like, if they run into a situation where they try to negotiate with a Marquez or Mr. Who's the Boss, and they're not capitulating to what the brand wants, then the brand can go to a lesser creator who will gladly capitulate because they want the clout, they want the views, the viewership, and things like that. I'll get into more of that later on, but whew, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of moving parts in this equation when you talk about brands working with creators. So it's crazy. But that was I thought, like I said, I didn't even think about that, and I thought that was like an excellent point there in the way they presented it. Because again, when you think about giveaways, you don't think about giveaways in the vein of actually influencing what a creator said. But I mean, yeah, you can't bash a product and then try to give away in the same breath. It's just not going to work.
They're also like, they're really good marketing people, and they think like a lot of this is 4D chess, like 9,000 IQ. Like if you notice, sometimes there's always like influencers that may not make sense either, that get given things sometimes even earlier. Like there've been a couple cases where it's seemingly like random people are given products ahead of like the biggest YouTubers or the biggest outlets, and it's another manipulation going, you see, maybe we don't really need you. Maybe like there's other people, other places that we can go. So like everyone is always sort of being kept on there, or the biggest media outlets will go, yeah, you know, it'd be a shame if you weren't featured for our 10 million, you know, audience. You know, that'd be a real shame if that happened to you. So like it's war, man. It's war on the battlefield.
Oh, it's definitely war. Absolutely. But we'll get more into that needing thing later on, definitely. But point number 2, Marquez was talking about when a brand introducing the product at an event or whatever, and they talk about features coming soon. Again, this is something I didn't really consider as far as how it could manipulate what the creator says about the product, but it's very true. And perfect example is Apple and the iPhone 11, what they talked about in the video. They talked about how Apple introduced the Deep Fusion feature at the keynote. But in actuality, the Deep Fusion feature never made it to iPhone until I think 2 months after launch. But like Marquez said in the video, every reviewer included a tidbit about Deep Fusion in their review because we were anticipating that feature and it was supposed to be a big deal. Even though in actuality, when the feature came out finally to the iPhones, it really wasn't that big of a deal. But Apple made it out to be this whole big hullabaloo about Deep Fusion, how you could stitch different pictures together to get a more precise picture, this, that, and the other. And it had us as tech nerds kind of excited. So like Marquez said in the video, we would kind of allude to it, even though it wasn't there yet. But that is crazy how a brand could announce a potential feature that's not even present yet, but the creator, we will actually go out of our way to implement it in our video because that's what their brand says.
Yeah, and there's an accountability aspect to that too. Like sometimes it's legitimate. Like sometimes a feature, they expected it to be ready and it isn't, but it's such a good feature or such a confusing feature that they feel like they have to talk about it, or else, you know, people just won't understand it when it ships. Portrait mode was like that too. Like they thought portrait mode was going to be ready for the iPhone 7. It wasn't. So they announced it anyway. And they're like, it's coming soon. And Google too. Google's like, we have this new feature where like, if you shoot through a fence, the fence is going to disappear. And like that never shipped. No. Or like AirPower never shipped. Like so they announce things too that never ship. And we can choose not to talk about them. And we can also choose to dunk on them when they are announced. But those to me are like typical tensions. The worst part, the one that's really egregious to me, is when they tell you as a reviewer, it's not working now, but there's going to be a software fix that'll make it work. And you've already got the review unit. So like, it's not that they promised a feature for later. It's like they promised it for now and it's broken and they don't want you to talk, or they want you to tell people it's going to be fixed. And we've talked about this before. Like you can never review something or never buy something based on a promised feature. You can only review or buy on what's currently in your hands.
So perfect example of what you were just talking about. The Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra. I remember this vividly because I had the phone. Actually, I had 2 of them because I won one and I brought one. Supposedly it was going to have a state-of-the-art camera system, but the autofocus was absolute trash. It didn't work properly, but Samsung kept promising updates to the camera feature. Now, eventually the update then came like way down the road, but when the phone initially released, it was still broken. And I remember there was an actual debate among reviewers at the time about whether or not to talk about how Samsung had said that there will be an update. Or no. The debate was actually, should they put out a review right now knowing that the update to that feature will come in the future? And me and Renee, I think most of us agree that no. You don't wait for a feature to put out a review. You review the phone as it is currently in your possession. You don't wait for a company to update something. What kind of crap is that? Because that's how the mass public is going to get the phone. They're not going to get it with the update. They're going to get it the same way you got it as a reviewer, with that pre-release software, with that bugginess, that buggy camera. So there's no way in hell that I or anybody else should be waiting for Samsung to issue an update before we put out the review. If they handed you the review like that, the review unit came like that, then you have to review it like that, because chances are the update is not going to be out by the time the phone goes to mass public. And why are you holding back information? It's not being authentic and genuine to your audience.
It's Carbaggio, as you and Marquez have called it.
Very Carbaggio, yeah.
And and it's true, like, it's their choice when they give us stuff, but it's our choice what we cover. So like, they've made that choice. They've said this is a product, you've got it in your hands, so then it's our choice, and we're just going to be real about it. The M1 iPad to me was the same thing. Like I forbid myself from saying, like, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, this has got to be a sign macOS is coming to the iPad, or it's got to be a sign WWDC is going to revolutionize the iPad. And like, no, you can't do that. And turns out it really, really didn't. And you can't like get somebody excited to buy something that's not going to be there for them. That's irresponsible.
Very, very irresponsible. Again, as we've stated time and time again on this channel, on Renee's channel, you buy a piece of tech for what it can do today. You don't buy for what it can do tomorrow, because there is no promise that what you're waiting for will actually come to fruition. So why even take that chance? So if you're going to buy a piece of tech, assume it's not. So if you're going to buy a piece of tech, you buy it for what it does right now, today, in the moment. And then if it comes tomorrow, so be it. If it doesn't, then you already know what you're dealing with ahead of time.
That's a bonus. That's frosting.
Definitely. This next one, though, is probably the one that irked me more than anything, Renee. And it is the dual embargoes. Yeah. Oh, I hate this. So the point that they made in the video was about, I guess, oh man, I can't remember what they were talking about in the video, but I will go to
the hardware only review. And
the Surface Duo. Yeah, they talked about the Surface Duo in the video. So the Surface Duo apparently had 2 embargoes. The first embargo, they could make videos about it. They could talk about everything they wanted, but they could not turn the device on. Let me repeat that, you all. Reviewers who had the Duo could talk about anything they want, but they could not turn the device on camera. I should say on camera. They could not turn it on. So they could talk about all the hardware, this, that, and the other. But when it comes to software, they were not allowed to talk about the software until the second embargo later on down the road. What? Are you kidding? What? And this is so manipulatory, because that first embargo is usually around the time that most people are going to be interested in the device, because it's right before launches or different things like that. Then obviously when the device officially launches, you have the second embargo, which is when you can bring out the full review. But like I think Marquez and Aaron made a point in the video, the device is probably going to get the most interest when the initial set of videos go out. Now, I know creators from all over have different mindsets about how they approach this particular issue. My logic is that there is no way in hell, Renee, I'm doing a video where I cannot turn the product on. It is a waste of my time. It is a waste of my viewers' time. If I can't give you some type of analysis with the product actually functioning, I don't see the point of making a video. However, there are other creators out there, especially newer creators or smaller creators, that will do that video because it gives them the views, it gives them the attention, it gives them if they have the early access, they want their video out before the big boys get their video out, because that gives them the early advantage. So curious to get your thoughts on this whole dual embargo thing. And I'm pretty sure you've had to deal with this a lot of times in your career.
So I'll back up for a little bit. So one thing is, like, I don't want to remove any responsibility from us, because like you said, we can choose not to do it. It's really hard because we know there's going to be 20 other videos up. Right. And I think even for big creators, they know they're going to get 5 million views on that video. And that's like, I don't want to say it's free 5 million views, but it's close. Like, it's an exciting new product. It's as close to free 5 million views as you can get. And that translates into AdSense and paying employees and being able to do a lot of things. So it's really hard. And that, your 20 other peers are going to have that video up. So it's an enormous amount of pressure. But ultimately, like you said, we get to decide what videos we put up. For me personally, it's always been different because Apple handles embargoes so differently. Like, typically there'll be an event and nobody has seen anything until the event, and then you'll go to a hands-on area and you can film anything. Like, they ask you not to film Apple employees, but like, you can film anything you want and put up your video, and it's a hands-on or a first impressions, because that's literally what it is. You have touched it and you have got a few thoughts about it. But and then like you'll get seated for a review, or you'll buy a review unit or you'll buy something to review, and you'll come out with your full review. So it's technically 2 videos, but there's no embargo on the hands-on because it's literally happening right there. It's like, how fast can you get back to your hotel and edit it and post it? That's like the only embargo. And Apple does a lot of those for smaller products too. It's like, here's your product. There's no embargo. Whenever you feel more like ethically okay to give an opinion on it. And some people say I can do that in an hour, and some people say I need a week, and that's entirely up to you. But like, when we used to deal with Samsung, it was frustrating for me because they would fly people out, give them hands-on time, let them shoot a video, and then embargo the hands-on in the video until the minute the event started. And then the embargo would expire when the event started. And I would never know, do I watch the event? Do I watch like Marquez and Fisher's and Android Central's hands-on? Like, why are you giving me all these things at once? And then it is an embargo, but it's like, and they get 2 videos out of it, but it's not like, it doesn't feel live. It feels like, oh, I was in the guy's apartment for a while. And Microsoft just blew the whole roof off of that thing by saying you can have a hardware embargo, which I'd never heard of before. Made zero. I had to keep asking people, what is this?
So the Samsung thing, I still don't understand the Samsung thing because, like you said, the Samsung embargo gets lifted right before the event. I don't understand why Samsung doesn't wait till the event is over with, then release the embargo. I don't know. Yes. I don't understand why they let the video go live before the embargo, because if you let the video go live before the embargo, before the event, then why the hell would anybody want to watch the event? They can get all the information that they want in the video, but for whatever reason,
it's so natural the other way. Like otherwise, you'd watch the event and then go straight into the videos.
Right. And that's the way it should be. That's the way it's supposed to be. But Samsung, by some backward thinking, does it the opposite way, and I still don't understand. If anybody in the chat can understand why Samsung does it ass backward, please explain that to me, because I don't know. It makes no sense to me. Why do they do it ass backwards? Because somebody help me.
And it was funnier. Like it was funnier over the years because like at one point there'd be an embargo for the review, but then like Samsung US had an embargo, but then Samsung Canada just gave out the phones with no embargo. So all the Canadian YouTubers and sites put up their review, and the American ones are pulling their hair out because they agreed to the embargo. Or T-Mobile would start selling it before the embargo came up. Much people and get the phone, and they would just put up videos, and like all the reviewers would be, but the embargo's in 2 days.
Google just did something similar with the Pixel 5a. So apparently, I guess they gave it to two different groups of people. I think you were on my Twitter when I was talking about this. They gave it to the Team Pixel people, and we got it the day of launch. And then they gave it to the tech journalists and tech media before the launch. But the tech journalists and tech media had an actual embargo in place. Team Pixel had no embargo in place, so as soon as it came on our doorstep on that day, we were able to do whatever the hell we want with it because we had no embargo. So I remember my friend Stephanie Carl, she put a photo up on the phone, and people were getting mad like, "How you bring embargo?" And I'm like, "There is no embargo. We are not under embargo. There is no email stating that we had to wait. The moment we get that device, it's fair game when there's no embargo in play." But apparently, what I was unaware of that morning was that there was an embargo in place. It just wasn't for Team Pixel, which is kind of weird the way Google handled that. I don't know why there will be like 2 different situations going on. Like the messaging is kind of confusing when you do it that way. They should have just had us all under the same embargo. I don't know, Renee. That was kind of weird.
No, and it's hard. Like I've seen that on both sides because like for like a couple times Apple did like YouTube embargoes a couple days before press embargoes, and outlets like The Verge and like Marquez will spend a lot of money on their reviews. Like a lot of money on their reviews, and then they don't get because people have posted a bunch of videos, that topic gets exhausted. Like there's only so many videos, like a few like really hype people will watch 10 videos on like the Pixel or the iPhone, but no, most people don't. They'll watch 2 or 3, they'll be satisfied, and they'll move on. And then like the video you spent like 15 grand on hits, and they're like, but I saw Viper's I saw Viper's stream when he first got it. I'm good. Sorry.
Mark, the defendant, guy showed up early.
I love you, Mark. I miss Mark. So people aren't aware, Mark used to work with me, and he's the one who shot a lot of my early iPhone reviews, and he is just so beyond brilliant as a videographer. I miss working with him every day.
I didn't know he worked with you. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Mark, and he also worked with Daniel Rubino, so he deserves hazard pay.
At this point, who have you work with everybody, man? You work with practically everybody in the industry, man. Who haven't you worked with at this point? It's pretty awesome.
I know, but you know that when you go to events and stuff, you meet a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely. So the 4th point that Marquez and Aaron made in the video, exclusive like interviews and exclusive content that these brands will offer creators and things like that to basically it's an unpaid promo, more or less. Obviously, in normal time, if you want a creator to promote your product, we call that on YouTube a commercial or a showcase, and that's money a brand will have to pay a creator to do that normally. But when the brand offers exclusive content like these interviews and things like that, number one, it's usually unpaid because it's usually it's usually payment in the guise of getting exclusive assets, exclusive interviews with CEOs and different things like that. And it gives the brand the chance to paint whatever kind of portrait they want to paint of the product at that particular time because they have one of their own people in there doing the interviews or whatever the case may be, or they will give the creator a set of guidelines that they have to adhere to if they want to have that exclusive assets and things like that. Very manipulatory, but I mean, this stuff happens all the time. It's been happening before the dawn of man. It's not going to stop happening because Marquez and Aaron made a video about it. But it's just another way that these tech companies, another thing that they do to manipulate the media by giving them early access or exclusive access that nobody else has. But we'll give it to you, but you have to present the content in the way that we want you to present the content. And I love how Marquez said that he kind of fought OnePlus on that because they wanted to do like some type of fluff piece. And Marquez was like, listen, I'm not about the fluff piece, like, bro. Let me twist this and make it something more digestible for my audience. And luckily they let him do that. But I'm pretty sure you've had this happen with you with brands like that wanted to work with iMore or something, wanted to you guys to do fluff pieces instead of doing natural content, right?
So I want to say yes and no. Like big companies are usually smart. They're usually really smart and they've been around for a while and they know how it works. And I should preface this by saying none of this is new or unique to tech. Like tech is such a new industry that we feel like sweet summer children. But like I know people who cover politics or cover like car blogging. If you think the stories are outlandish about like tech blogging, like people have no idea how much graft and swag and like you'll get a Lambo for 24 hours. Like the amount of money that floats around car blogging, but political blogging too. It's like you want a few minutes with the president of the United States. That is a negotiation. Like that is not like that is not a small thing. That's like even worse than, well, maybe it's not worse than negotiating with Elon. I don't know, but you know, like that's a big thing. So like I mostly it's just like PR people saying we want to have this person as a guest on your podcast. You're like, no, like Apple announced this, and our guy, venture capitalist leader of the free market Xeon Coin industry complex wants to come on your show and talk all. It's like no garlic and crosses, no. But the people who are like really big in tech, like if you're talking to Bill Gates or you're talking to Tim Cook, you know, like this is something not just YouTubers have to deal with. This is CNBC, and I remember like famously Howard Stern talking about this, and he's like if you just don't like Howard Stern, that's one thing, but he is a magnificent interviewer. Like he's an incredibly skilled interviewer, and he was saying like all these celebrities only come on my show and they want to promote their movies, and I hate it. Like just come on my show and talk to me. But then anytime a movie comes out, like Jungle Cruise comes out, The Rock is on 900 YouTube channels.
Yep.
Like he's not there last month. He's not going to be there next month. Nope. He's on 900. He is tasting the hot wings. He is doing like the most searched for terms. He is playing every dumb game on every dumb YouTube channel. Not dumb, but you know what I mean. Oh yeah. So like it's always like an exchange of value. I get and I don't even know, honestly, Viper, I don't know how much a lot of this is worth. Like if 100 channels have an early phone or 100 channels have The Rock on them, how valuable is that? But you still like you don't want to be the one that doesn't have it.
Yeah, it's weird because again, we are still in the wild west as far as creators on YouTube and how we deal with brands and things like that. There's no standard out here, so every creator has the opportunity to deal with the brands how they see fit. And even if they're doing some under the table shady stuff, nobody will ever know unless the creator slips up. But more likely than not, nobody will ever know. So we as creators, we are literally free to do whatever we want to run our business. That's just how it is. So these brands can literally go from creator to creator to creator until they find a creator that will be more than capitulate to their demands and acquiesce. And that's just the way it is. And as long as you have that possibility out there, everything that we're talking about tonight, everything that Marquez and Aaron talked about this morning, none of this stuff is going to change because again, there's no standard, there's no regulation on this stuff, there's no laws against any of this stuff. So this is just how the business of media works. I mean, Renee could tell you this more than I can because he's been in the industry longer, but media have been working this way for years, long before we came along as YouTubers and creators. So this is just how
it's less like you saw those rappers accidentally post the terms of their Bitcoin, of their coin pump scandals. It's like after I post this tweet, I'll get like $24,000, right? And it's in the tweet. It's like you just cut and pasted that whole email, didn't you, brother?
Yeah, and it's so crazy because these big tech corporations, they control all aspects of the media. I mean, you got many people will accuse Fox News of being left or whatever the hell how you want to label Fox News, and then they accuse CNN of being right or whatever the hell. This stuff runs rampant throughout the media industry. Yeah. I don't know if anything that we talk about on a live stream is going to change any of it. It's just the way that media run and the way it will continue to be ran because again, especially here in the creative space, there is no standard. There is no legislation.
I just ask people. Like if it's like a headset company, I go and I ask El Jefe, I haven't seen a review from you. Is this good? And he goes, trash. And I'm like, hard pass. And then I see like a bunch of people do it. And I'm like, you know, like I know, like you never want to judge people because like you don't know their financial situation. You know, like maybe their kid, like you never know what's going on in somebody's life. But These are all really hard decisions.
Absolutely. So funny that you say that, because you were just talking about El Jefe and headphones. So there are a pair of headphones that a lot of bigger creators have done sponsored spots for, and you probably seen it, Renee, the Raycons. Raycons are all over YouTube, especially for the bigger creators. They have a sponsored spot for these Raycons. They talk about how they're good, this, that, and the other. My man Border Work, I love this. My man Border Work brought a pair and reviewed them on his channel. And oh my Lord, he just dragged them through the cold and told people how trash they were. And I'm like, you know what? I'm surprised it took this long for somebody to make this video, because I mean, I'm sorry. When you have that many people were capping or shilling, as they call it, for Raycons, and nobody really talked about them outside of these ad spots, something going on. So when Borderwork made that video exposing the Raycons for what they are, I trust him, because I know he's real and he's been doing it for a while, and he's a good people. But when he made that dedicated video just to review the Raycons and just drag them through them, I'm like, I knew it. But man, it's nice to see somebody come out there like today, like Marquez and Aaron coming out there and giving us the inside baseball of what's happening in the tech space. But when Borderwork made that video talking about the Raycons, I'm like, I knew it.
I do that. I go to like Google and I type it in, and if I can't find a legitimate source that's done a legitimate review of something, I stay away, because like it's not worth it.
Yep, absolutely. So the last one they talked about, kind of interesting. They talked about out of context quoting. Now this is kind of interesting to me, because I remember when Google sent me the Pixel 4, and I did a 27-minute video talking about the Pixel 4. And I spent most of the video not saying the Mython things about it, because I felt like it wasn't competing properly against the competition that it was up against at the time. But I'm pretty sure I made some good points in the video as well. So when they talk about out of context quoting, if Google were to take like one of the positive things I said about the Pixel 4 and flash it all over their marketing, even though I spent the majority of that video probably downplaying the Pixel 4, that's what we're talking about when we talk about out of context quoting. I think Aaron had used the example of the Red Hydrogen 1. A lot of reviewers were like, nah, this ain't it. But then I think Red probably took some of the positive parts of the reviews and like flashed them on their website and things like that.
It's the Samsung one was the funny one.
Yeah, the Samsung one when they took Aaron's the perfect Samsung title, even though that wasn't even the highlight of his video. Has this ever happened to you? Somebody take you out of context, Renee?
So this is the thing, I think, where YouTube is really different than traditional media, because that stuff is all your copyright. Like, you own this. They're not allowed to take your videos. They're not allowed to take, unless there's like some previous agreement, they can't take your videos. They can't take your quotes. And at most big publishing companies, they can't even ask you permission, because that gets diverted to BizDev, and BizDev says the cost of this quote is $20,000 or whatever it is. And they have to pay to use your quote in their media because it provides value to them. And this is something because, like, again, a lot of YouTubers are like their own businesses, or they never grew up in that setting. They don't realize, we don't always realize the value that we have or what we're owed. So it's never happened, because it would have been a lawsuit in my old company or it would have been a discussion saying, how big is the check you're going to write us now that you used that quote? And it was a negotiation. But I guess they feel like because it's YouTubers, they can just. So if you're ever unhappy about it, you could just send them a demand letter and say, thank you, here's my bill, or you got to take that down. But it's hard, again, because like we're like, well, then maybe they won't give me the next phone. And because you're not a giant company that can afford to buy everything for you if they have to, or can like throw their weight around and say, if you don't do this for us, we're not going to do that for you. We're in a really vulnerable position.
Yeah, and I think Aaron he alluded to as much in this video. He was talking about how they took the quote, they didn't have permission and things like that. And again, like Renee said, that's not legal. Like that, your video is your content. That's your copyright. That's your IP. So if a brand takes it without your permission and using it on their website, you can have a nice little talk with them, or you can send your lawyers at them, and that'd be an interesting conversation too. But unfortunately, a lot of YouTubers don't have the legal financing to even pursue that. But you can, and you would win, because legally it's not legal to do that. But yeah, the out of content thing, I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure it happens, but I don't think it happens as much as some of the other stuff we talked about tonight. I think that's kind of at the bottom of the barrel. But it's
famous in movies. Remember, like movies will put up a quote going, "It's a movie." Roger and Ebert, and it's like, that's not what they said. They said it's a terrible movie. They just put movie.
Right, yep,
so it's famous for movies doing that all the time.
Definitely. So I guess in conclusion to all the points that we mentioned tonight, again, this stuff has been happening since the dawn of man. This is basic media advertising business 101. These companies will use any angle that they can use to put a positive spin on their products, even if the products are terrible, because they don't want the negative press and things like that. But again, every content creator that can hear the sound of my voice right now, you have a decision. You have the option not to fall in line. It is your business. This is your YouTube channel. This is your business. You can do it the way you see fit. And the other thing that something Andrew Edwards told me a year or so ago that I will never forget. Andrew Edwards said, the brands need us more than we need them. Let me repeat that to all of you all listening or watching. The brands need us more than we need them. It's something I'll never forget. It's so true, because at the end of the day, if a brand falls out of line with you, or you fall out of line with a brand, guess what you can do? Even if a brand doesn't want to send you an early copy of their product, you can go buy it and do the review video anyway. So it literally doesn't matter, because you don't even need the brand, because you can buy the product regardless. I was looking at the comment section of Aaron and Marquez's video, and Flossie Carter actually commented, and he was like, that's why I buy all my phones, so I can call these brands out on their BS. And that's literally what it is. When you buy the product, they have no control over you. They have no say. So just remember, you all, you don't need the brand, because you can ultimately go out and buy their products and services anyway without there and say whatever the hell you want. How I will say this though. Another thing that Andrew ever said that sticks with me is that you can critique the brand tastefully and give them constructive criticism that they can take and use to make their product better. There's nothing wrong with that. I am not a fan of a creator being negative just for the sake of being negative and trying to trash or bash your brand. I'm not a fan of that. I don't do that. I'm not a fan of it. It's just not called for. But there's definitely a tasteful way to go about providing constructive criticism to a brand about their product and service that they can take back to their engineers, their people, and they can use that feedback to make their products better. And a lot of brands, if they're worth anything, they will have no problem with that, because again, that is constructive criticism that they can use to make their next iteration better. I mean, would you say that's fair, Renee?
Yeah, absolutely. Like we talked about this before. Like if your review isn't fair, then it's bad for them too, because people just think it's a fluff piece and they discount it, and it has very low value. Like the most value you can get, like my personal thing is, if everybody hates me, I did my job. Like I'll do a review and I'll say, I like this feature, and they'll go, oh, you're an apologist. And I'll say, but I hate this feature. And they'll go, oh, you're just a hater. You know, if I can have like an equal amount of people saying I like too many things and I hate too many things, then I figure I did my job. But it's got to be both, because no product is ever everything to everybody. And you got to be fair and say, like, this is my personal taste. Like maybe like Viper likes really big phones and other people like really small phones. So you can't say a phone is trash because it's small. Like you just may not like it. But if the camera literally doesn't work, you got to say the camera literally doesn't work. There's a very different thing between subjective and objective criticism. But without the criticism, I sort of look like we're like, in one way, we're fact checkers. Like this is what the company said the thing is supposed to do. Does it do that? And you can have, like, some people worry like, oh, you're not going to get access if you're like.
Oh, where'd he go? Uh-oh, we lost Renee. Oh man, where'd he go? Oh.
Am I back?
There he is. There you are.
All right, sorry about that. No, I was just gonna say, like, if you just trash it for no reason, you might lose access, but you can go buy it. And if you look at YouTube, like 2 weeks later and 1 month later, reviews can kill it. So like there's literally no stopping you. There's no excuse for you not giving a great opinion. And if you're afraid you're gonna lose access to something, you probably didn't really have that access to begin with.
Yeah. Here's my thing. If you put out a review or a piece of content that doesn't cast a overly positive light on a brand or a product or service or whatever, and you are being completely fair, you're not like going out of your way to bash it, but you're offering constructive criticism, and the brand still wants to blacklist you, then that brand's not worth your time anyway, because they're out there for fluff pieces and positivity. Ain't nobody got time for that. I told you guys before, my number one priority on these YouTube airways is to my audience, my viewers, my listeners or whatever. My obligation is to you. It's not to a brand, because the reason why the brand is even contacting me in the first place is because they want to get their product in front of your eyes. That means that our relationship between me and you has to be A1. You have to trust me in order to listen to what I think, even consider watching my content, because you trust the words that come out of my mouth as it relates to tech. Now, luckily, in the 3.5 years that I've been doing this, I think I've done a pretty good job of talking about products fairly, and you guys trust me enough to trust my recommendations. And that's why brands rock with me the way they rock with me, because they understand that if we give Viper a product, Viper is going to critique the product fairly. He's going to put it in front of his audience, and then if Viper recommends it, then Viper's audience is going to like it, and they're going to trust that product because Viper recommends it. So that trust, that credibility is everything. And John Prosser says this all the time. He has to be right because it's all about having that trust and credibility. He hates being wrong. He cares about nothing else more than being right. And that's all about trust, credibility, and having that relationship with your audience, having that ability for your audience to trust you when you turn on the camera and you put out a tech review that your audience knows that you're not being paid for or brought out or anything like that. So as a creator, your number one responsibility is to your audience. It's never to a brand. It is to your audience. And as long as you remember that, you will go far. Really that simple.
Yeah, and nobody like owes you access anyway. Like I know for me, I had like at iMore, I had 20 million uniques a month, every month for years, and I couldn't get a review unit to save my life. Like it took me until I think the iPhone 10s was the first time I got an iPhone review unit, and that was like 10 years into the business.
Wow.
But I just said like that has to be a bonus. I have to do my job regardless. So I would get up, I would line up, I would go there, try to get there first, do the best job I could. And then, when I started getting review units, that was a bonus. It made my job easier. Honestly, it made my job easier, but it didn't change my job. And I always felt like nobody owes me anything. I got to put the grind in. And then when I left iMore, I was like, I'm never getting a review unit again. And I was lucky because Apple, like when Ryan Block left Engadget, when Jason Snell left Macworld, they tend to stick with the person that they know, not necessarily, anything else. So fingers crossed, I got one last year. We'll see what happens this year, but I never count on it. So I feel like I'm not beholden that way because if it doesn't happen, I'll be disappointed, but I'll do my damn job.
Man, let's be honest. If Apple, even if they don't give you a review unit, you're gonna have like all the review units anyway. You're going into an Apple store like before anybody else. You're gonna get all the units anyway. So nobody's stopping Renee. Nobody is stopping you, Renee. Nobody.
Yeah.
Okay, so far we talked about the pre-launch giveaway. We talked about features coming soon. We talked about dual embargoes. We've talked about exclusive content interviews, things like that. And we talked about out of context quoting. Is there anything else that you've seen in your time in the space that tech companies do to manipulate media?
Yeah, so like some of the it doesn't happen. Like there's two things that are I would say some of them are active and some are not. Like when a company has multiple PR outlets, it's hard. Like Google used to have internal and external PR, and sometimes internal and external PR would tell you different things. And Samsung and other companies famously have local and headquarter PR. And sometimes some people in there are jerks, and sometimes like I'm going to say it because it was published. Like Business Insider published it. Samsung US was killing it for a while. Like they did great ads. They made fun of Apple. They made fun of the hipster Apple vibe. They were killing it. And instead of being happy for them, Samsung International was angry because they thought it made them lose face. Like why is the US doing so good and why aren't we? So they made fun of them. They were complete jerks to them to the extent that it hurt that whole PR team. And it hurt a bunch of reviewers that year as well. And that was one of the few years that I went to a Samsung event. So like there's like own goals that happen as well that are really frustrating. But sometimes there's just a jerk who gets into a powerful position at one of these companies. And it's not that the company is a jerk. And you've seen like sometimes Linus is very honest about this stuff. And you'll see his videos where he goes, I've always had great interactions with this company, but right now this one person is being completely unreasonable and making and sometimes like you run into that person. And we have like people who say like, if you don't pull this down or change this, you'll never get a review unit again, which to me is like, you should just be fired at that point. Or they'll go on Twitter and blast you. And I'm like, yeah, if you're in marketing and you're on Twitter blasting like a creator, you should lose your job. Like that's not a good look. So like there's that sort of stuff. But like usually those people self-select out at some point anyway.
Yeah, that reminds me of the issue that happened with El Jefe a couple of years ago with Bludio, when whoever worked there at the time sent them that email, and yeah, that didn't end well for Bludio. That's never a good look. Never a good look for a brand that blasts creators. Yeah, no, don't do that. Don't do that. But yeah, man, it's interesting. I mean, it's funny. Well, it's not funny. It's just interesting because a lot of times people think like the bigger creators like Mr. Who's the Boss or Marquette, they're shilling, they're capping, they're paid for this, that, and the other. But when you have two of the biggest tech influencers on planet Earth getting together to put out this video about how the industry runs, and it's kind of like behind the scenes of what's going on, and they're giving you the inside baseball. I mean, I don't know if I can say that either one of them are broader and paid off. I mean, I've never talked to Mr. The Boss personally, so I don't know. I've talked to Marquez numerous times, and I know for a fact that dude's not brought in, not paid off. He's going to tell you what he thinks regardless, because that's who he is. But this stuff happens, and it's happening at every level. It's not just at the big level. It's happening at the smaller level too. And in a lot of ways, it's easier for these tech companies to manipulate at the smaller level anyway, because again, these creators are eager. They're new to the game. They're so like ready to work with brands and things like that they will literally bend over backwards to capitulate to whatever these brands want. So it's a lot easier for these brands to manipulate newer and smaller creators than the bigger ones anyway, because when you're that big, you've been in the game long enough to see through the BS, and you know what to do and what to look out for. A brand new creator, a smaller creator, they don't know what to look out for. They don't understand that they're being used by the brands and things like that. So they're easier to get over on it. So it just happens.
Even just being given products, like in traditional media, and even now, everything I get from Apple, I have to send back. Like I have to it comes with a UPS label, and it's got to go back. And that's just how everything used to work. But now increasingly, because of the influencer economy, you see like people just giving stuff away, and then they expect like a video for it. And you stop and think, yeah, like a free phone or a free headset or a free this is nice, but it cost me like $500 to make a video, or it cost me $1,500 to make a video, or I would get a sponsorship otherwise and get like $2,000 for a video. And now I'm doing it for a phone I was going to buy anyway. You know, and I think like it puts pressure on the creator to make a video, but it also sometimes devalues what they don't realize their worth and how much that's really worth. And it's just like, yeah, I gave them a $50 set of headphones. They made a review. Ha 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 ha. And it's like, such a bad look.
Yeah. Again, there's so many levels to this, because we as creators, we don't have a standard. We don't have a standard. We don't have legislation governing how we do our business, which is good. I'm not advocating for legislation. I don't want that. But the fact that there's no structure for how all of us should operate our businesses, it literally makes it for the Wild Wild West that we are all doing things differently, and the brands are just they're doing what they can. They're getting in where they're fitting in, and they're going to find some loopholes throughout the creator space, because again, when you have all of us creators operating our businesses differently, these brands are bound to find creators that aren't going to put them through the ringer like other creators will. It just is what it is at this point. I mean, there's nothing that can be done about that. But here's the thing, though. Again, like I said earlier, creators have to realize they have to know their worth. You have to know your worth, know your value, and understand that once again, the brands need you more than you need them, because ultimately, you can go buy the product and do what you got to do anyway. You don't need brands to send you free product or early access. You don't need it. It's nice to have, absolutely. Don't get me wrong, it's amazing. But you should not let that define your worth, and you damn sure should not let that define your integrity. Having early access to a product should not affect your integrity and how you present your content to your audience, because once again, your audience is the single most important relationship you as a creator have to maintain. You, audience, you, not the brand, okay? The brands are cool, they're nice, they're out there, but if you ruin the relationship between you and your audience, there is no brand. The brand is not going to care about you anymore, because they want your audience. So you as a creator have to maintain that awesome relationship between you and your audience, and let everything else happen from there, because that's how it works. That's how it should work.
Yeah. And I'm not saying like our old policy was you could send anything you like, but like we were under no obligation to look at it, review it, or anything. And I know it sounds nice in the beginning that you get free stuff. It's like the first time you go to CES, you leave with 2 swag bags. The third time you go, it's like, please don't give me anything. Please don't give me anything. And it's the same like when you start getting free iPhone cases or free Galaxy cases, it's nice. When you can't find your sofa anymore because there's so many damn free cases, like that's the last thing you want is another free. And like it really does change that fast. And I don't think people appreciate it. But also, like you could never pay for a review. Like you could go to because you had you could go to the ad department and buy an ad for a thing, but you could never buy a review. The review was like the basic. That happened based completely on editorial discretion. But now there's no more like ad department and editorial department. And like if someone's paying to sponsor, like we saw Qualcomm pay to sponsor a bunch of videos, or Intel pay to sponsor a bunch of videos. Like I know, and they're showcases, but they talk about the stuff and. It is, like you said, the wild, wild west. But when it's like the 30th phone, you've got it. Like, I don't know how you guys do it. I just do Apple. So I get like once, maybe twice a year. But like you think of someone like Marquez or Mr. Mobile or like Mr. Who's the Boss, you think like, it's the 40th phone they've been sent that month. Sending the phone means nothing at that point. No. Like they've got to think their audience wants it if they're going to put the time and effort into making a review for it.
Definitely. So just a quick reminder while we're here, you all, the super chats are open, baby. They're not required at all, but anything that you're willing to contribute is greatly appreciated. This will be the last live stream, at least until Friday, because this is the end. This is the final beta, baby. We have reached day 31. Your boy Viper has successfully live streamed for the past 31 days in a row. So I appreciate all y'all hanging out. Some of you all have been here every single day and night this month that I've been streaming, which is crazy. But thank you guys so much for everybody who donated over the past month. Thank you for donating. I appreciate everything that you guys have done, everything that you guys have contributed. Sincerely, thank you so much for rocking out. The other thing that Renee kind of alluded to is that even as a small creator, or no matter what your channel size is, when you get sent product, you are not obligated to make a video on it. Unless you sign a contract stating that you have to make a video, you don't have to make a video. You are not obligated to make a video. Actually, one of the cool things about Team Pixel is that when they send these phones out, they tell us that you're not obligated to make a video. Obviously, we would like that if you make a video. We would love that. But by no means are you obligated. And that's not just for Team Pixel. I mean, even though they tell you that, that's true of any brand that you don't sign a contract for. Any brand that sends you any product or whatever the case may be, you as a creator, you are not obligated to make a video. You're not obligated to make content about that product unless you sign a contract stating that you have to make content. So just be aware. Just because a brand or brand sends you a bunch of free product or whatever, you are not obligated to make videos or content. You're not. It's just not. It's 100% legal stuff. You're not obligated. So don't feel like you have to make a video.
Mark makes a great point too. The smaller channels can't afford to buy every device for review. And I know that some people do, like they buy it and return it within the window, or they buy it and then some people buy every color of it and then they eBay it or something after the thing, so they recoup most of their money because it's basically brand new at that point. So there are always ways that people can do these things. And also, like, Front Page Tech, hugely successful, doesn't review products. Like, there's nothing that says a tech channel has to be a review channel. And I would argue that there's such review channels may not be the best way to go unless you're super established at reviews. I mean, they're one step of the funnel, but sometimes you can go deep rather than going broad. And sometimes you can do things other than reviews that provide tremendous value. So you got to pick the best match for you and where you think your audience is. Because again, like if someone's watched 5 reviews, are they going to really need to watch 7, 8, 9 reviews? You got to ask yourself that every time. Like, what are you competing for?
Yeah, there's a lot of creators out there. We're all covering the same stuff, doing the same thing. So there will be a lot of reviews out there. But another thing that I've seen a little bit on the internet, which I'll touch on real quick, is that you have creators out there that are kind of down because they don't have early access, so they feel like their videos aren't worth it. And today, I would say, I don't know if I subscribe to that line of thinking, because you have your own audience, you have your own fan base. They want your opinion. They subscribe to your channel because they want your opinion. So it doesn't really matter if a Marquez or Mr. Who's the Boss or Jonathan Morrison or I Just Seen make a video already. It doesn't matter. They're subscribed to you. Your 1,000, your 100,000, whatever. They come there for you and your opinion. So it doesn't matter when you get a device. They want your opinion. So don't feel so bad about you not having the early access when you have a whole fan base that is looking to you to decide whether or not they want a device. Like that is again, that's that creator viewer relationship. They are counting on you to put out that content. I mean, there are people, when I got this Z Flip, they were like, yo, Viper, I can't wait to get your thoughts on the Z Flip. And that's why I put out my initial 24-hour video, and I'll put out a review video later on. But I don't have a big fan base. I don't have a big following, but people still want my opinion on the Z Flip because they trust what I say. So it doesn't really matter when you get a device. If you're a creator out here and you have a following, an audience of any kind, chances are they are there for you. It doesn't matter about the bigger creators. They want your thoughts. They want your opinions, and you should not devoid them of that. You should give that to them no matter when it happens. Just do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's like that old thing, like I can't compete with Mr. Beast because he gives away $1 million worth of stuff in a video. Like maybe that's not the way to compete with Mr. Beast. It's the same thing. It's like I always ask myself, like, what is the unique value that I can give my audience every day that will also grow my audience every day? And it's not competing like I don't even review other stuff. Like Marquez is going to have like 2-3 reviews, maybe a week sometimes, and I'm never going to have that. And Justine's going to unbox things like that. I couldn't, like, giant Xbox fridges. Like, it's ridiculous. What Justine can unbox. Like, I'm never, like, I can't. I don't even look at it like there's no competition there. There's no way to compete with that. You have to find. It's like one of my favorite Bruce Lee quotes. Like, absorb what is useful, reject what is useless, and embrace what is uniquely your own. And you've got to do that. Embrace what is uniquely your own part. And if you like, don't make videos just to make videos. Make videos when you feel an attack. Like, who your audience is, and you know what you can give them and what they will love, and that's when you start to have the magic.
No doubt, man. No doubt. Well, you all, we are 50 minutes in, and I don't want to keep Renee longer than I have to. Renee, you got any last word before we hit the road here?
No, it's always like the meta discussions are really interesting in some ways, because like you said, there are some people who are like exhausted that they have so many phones to review, and that's such a privileged position, and other people who don't get a phone to review and they're so angry and salty about it that they can't wait to complain about it like the next time. And then there are people who just they know what phone to buy, and are they being given good advice? Are they just being rage baited for clicks? Are they being shilled for promo dollars? Like it's really confusing out there, especially for people who are not, I think, as Dave Wiskus calls it. It's just like it's not easy out there. So just I always try to think, what can I do to make like an everyday person, a normal person? They buy a phone every few years. They're into technology. How can we make their lives easier? Like, what can we do that would make them happy that day? And then the rest of it is kind of noise that it's fun to talk about. But, after this, I'm going to go figure out what video I can do to make people happy today.
Definitely. So I'll give you guys one more piece of advice before we get out of here, though. So earlier I was talking about how it would not be in a brand's best interest to go on social media and knock a creator or blast a creator. That same word of advice is reversed. As a creator, it is not in your best interest to go on social media and blast the brand. It is not a good look. It doesn't make you look tougher or hard. It looks bad. It's bad for optics. It's just bad, period. So if you're a creator and you're mad at a brand for whatever reason, keep that itch to yourself. Unless they make like a faulty product or they don't deliver on a promise or something like that, then by all means call them out. But just going on social media to bash a brand just because you're mad at them for whatever reason, or because you didn't get invited to an event or you didn't get a product, it's not a good look. Just don't do that. Do yourself a favor. Keep that itch to yourself because it makes you look bad. So do with that information what you will. Yo, the Poets, man. Thank you, sir. Appreciate the $10 super chat, man. Thank you. Appreciate you rocking out with me for the entire month of August.
And just be classy. It's like it's like Roadhouse rules, right? Like be nice until it's time not to be nice. But like always, just be nice, be classy. And like these companies, we've talked about this before too. Like these companies are businesses. Like being a creator is a business. Like don't be ashamed or angry about business stuff. Just figure out your 9,000 IQ 4D chess move to beat them. I don't get review units from Google. I know those PR people. I've known them for years. I don't get reviews from Samsung. I used to go drinking with some of them like all the time. And it was just like, it's not a personal thing. It's just I know what their business goals are. And I was absolutely not aligned with their business goals.
Right.
So that like makes all the sense in the world to me. So I'm not like angry or upset about it. And I got a lot of other stuff to do. So just just be smart about it.
As for everything, when we talk about business things, it just makes the kind of sense that does. So don't take it personally.
Yes.
It's literally business. Yo, yeah. James, thank you for the super chat, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate Renee joining me tonight. So thank you for that. And thank you for the donation, man. Thank you. Listen, y'all, it has been a pleasure. I cannot believe that we are at the end of Veda. 31 days have come and gone. It's always so weird when we reach the end. Renee, man, thank you for making time tonight. As always a pleasure talking to you, man. So thank you. Sincerely appreciate you. And you've been dropping some serious super chat bombs on me this month too. So thank you, man.
Oh man, I love it when you go hard. Like it's such a good grind, and you're just so good. Can't not.
And I appreciate you. So thank you so much. This is the end, y'all. Obviously, I'll be back on Friday night because it's Friday Night Vibe, of course. For those of y'all who are not familiar, I know a lot of y'all kind of came over from the things that we were doing on at the beginning of the month. You might not know my normal live stream schedule, but I live stream every Friday night. That's happening without fail. As far as what happened before Friday, I can't really be sure because I'm about to start a new job in a couple of weeks here. So I don't know what that's going to do for my schedule and things like that, but I will definitely keep you guys posted on that. But just know that every Friday night, I will be here at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Friday night like clockwork. Other than that, I don't know. But again, I usually schedule the live stream, so you'll know before I go live. But just know that Friday I will be here, and we will be doing it big.
Congrats on the new gig, man.
Oh, thanks, Renee. I appreciate you, man. Thank you. I'm excited. My official start date is on the 13th of September, so I got a week of vacation. My last day of my 9 to 5 is Friday, so I got like a whole week off between now and then. So I'm just gonna be relaxing. Maybe I might throw some live streams during my week off. So I'm not.
So many Starbucks tweets I'm waiting for. So many.
Well, the problem, man, is that I gotta drive to Starbucks now before I can just walk out. I know, right? I can just walk down the streets in Starbucks when I was
like an animal.
Now I got to get in my car and drive. Like, damn, terrible. I mean, obviously we'll make it work, but yeah, man. But it's been an amazing time. I was there 6 years. I mean, it's time to move on. I'm excited for my next chapter in life, and we shall see what happens. It's funny. I was just talking. I don't know if you saw my tweet earlier. They sent me the stuff to sign into my new email today. Now sign into my new work email, and I was greeted by 30 emails immediately. I'm like, what the hell?
Nice.
30 emails. Like, damn. So,
and I can't let you go before. Also, once again, congratulations for emceeing Vid Summit. That's going to be huge. Can't wait to see that.
Yes, thank you. I cannot wait. Oh man, we are literally less than a month away from Vid Summit, which is crazy. Like, time has flown by. But yeah, September 28th is the first night, so I will be in Los Angeles emceeing. So hope to see you there. When I know you're not going to come this year because U.S. and Canada can't get their border ish together. But hopefully next year, I'll see.
No, America's locking everybody out. America's like, no one from Europe, no one from Canada. We're not letting any of you in. And we're like, have you seen our numbers?
Actually, not only is America locking people out, the rest of the world is locking America out too. They're like, all right, y'all, you want to lock them out? We're gonna lock you out too. The hell with y'all. I'm not even mad. I'm not even mad at them.
I'm gonna watch the stream though, so I'll see you. It'll be good.
Oh, no doubt, man. But yeah, hopefully by next year, next September, everything will be wide open and you can come hang out at Vid Summit and we can meet in person finally, and that'll be great.
Awesome.
But you all, again, thank you for everything. Thank you for the month of August. It's been an amazing month. I love hanging out with you guys. Again, I will be back on Friday night, so I won't be gone too long. But you guys get some nice and free without Viper streaming for a while. I don't know what y'all gonna do, but I think y'all figure it out. You all will figure it out. But until the next time, people, this your boy Viper, the man about tech. You know where to find me, so come back for more.